Hi, I'm Bradley Takahashi. Welcome to Community Corner. In this edition, we're really pleased to present for our viewing pleasure Jamie Ross. He's right over there, who is kind of a Maplewood institution. His fingers are in so many different things here. It's amazing where his influence reaches. And I guess I thought it was a good opportunity to essentially to talk about Jamie, his background, how he got into the various myriad things that he's involved in. There are plenty of people who actually have told me, I want to be Jamie Ross. How does he do that? So here's our opportunity to find out how you become Jamie Ross.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, Jamie, you grew up here in Maplewood, right?
Yep. On St. Lawrence Avenue, my whole life.
And you went through Columbia High School and all that jazz. But
yep.
and the first way I think that many people have run into you is through Maplewood Online.
Right.
And so I understand, like, you gave birth to this thing. I mean, what exactly is your involvement with Maplewood Online?
Yeah, I mean, back when I started Maplewood Online, there were 2 or 3 other Maplewood sites, and at that time I just thought that they weren't good enough for Maplewood. So that's kind of where I was actually between jobs for like a few months, and that's when I put the time and energy to building the basic Maplewood Online.
And how long ago was that?
I think that's 96 or 97.
Okay,
so it's been up around 10 years now.
And since then, I mean, is your involvement with that thing involves daily input, or I mean, is it something you turn on? I have no idea how you run a website like our bulletin board, whatever it is. You just turn a switch, or do you have to actually look at it every day?
Well, I do look at it every day. I don't have to, I guess. I mean, the message board kind of runs itself. My brother's a moderator on it too, so he helps see anything if there's anything we have to moderate. But yeah, it's gotten to a point where it's, I update it with Matter stories every now and then, and I try and come up with new features and stuff. But for the most part, it's pretty automated.
Yeah. Now, like, for those of you who haven't ever gone on Maplewood Online, it's one of these things where you click on it, and there are links also to South Orange, the Maplewood wannabe town.
Yeah.
There's current events, there's news, there's a lot of user input as well, right? People can link on their own Maplewood related activities or what have you, and there's pictures, and there's also all these chat kind of what do you call those?
It's the message board, the forum.
Board.
Yeah,
right.
that's where everyone goes and talks about every possible thing. Even if you have an issue with some technology question, you post it on there, you'll get a response in like 10 minutes. And
yeah.
I mean, right now we get about 4,000 to 4,500 visits a day.
Really?
So
and to show you my ignorance on these things, there's no physical place where this Maplewood Online exists, right? It's not like your computer at home.
Right.
I mean, where did you go to set this thing up? I mean, whose computer is it on?
Well, it's a server, and we actually rent a server. I'm not sure where it exists itself. Might be around Hoboken area.
But okay, so you say you rent. I mean, so does that come out of your pocket? It's not like it
Yeah.
costs anything. How do you? Is it a money-making venture,
Well,
or it's a community service?
It's gotten to be. I mean, it's because there is advertising. There are banner ads, and people do pay for classified ads now and job market ads. So there is revenue, and it's okay. I mean, for a while it wasn't much of anything.
So it's not costing you anything. It's
right.
It can actually. You're not going to retire off of it.
Not yet.
Not yet. So okay, and your background for learning how to do that, was that your college training?
I would say programming and web design and all of that has always been a hobby, and it's really everything I do is self-taught. I do have a degree in environmental economics and business, and I have a mainframe computing, degree, but that COBOL has nothing to do with HTML.
And that's okay. So that's not your day job.
No.
There's actually a couple things. There's so many other aspects to Jamie's life, which we'll get into a little bit later. But
Okay.
just as long as we're on Maplewood Online,
Sure.
I go on there just to see. I
Uh-huh.
mean, there is a lot of life there. I mean, I like it because of the current events, and there's pictures and video links to different things that's happened. And I decided to venture into some of the forums.
Okay.
Because somebody said, well, you might go in the forums. And actually, I think it's a kind of interesting psychological dynamic here at work because, I started typing out, I printed out some of the things, and
Uh-huh. Uh-oh.
I can't actually repeat some of the words in that
Yeah.
one, but, this one either. It's like, I mean, it's, what do you account for? There seems to be almost a disproportionate amount of kind of vitriol amongst people who seem to post there all the time. I mean, and I don't care what the topic is. If it's a restaurant, you might find somebody saying, "I just found this great restaurant,"
Yeah.
and then you'll find 10 things saying why it's terrible. Oh, okay, all right. It's like, I mean, is it because? I mean, it's almost like if you hang around long enough, you start thinking, man, would I want to be sitting in the same room with these folks? Because they're all opinionated. They kind of like don't brook any argument or difference in some other. Or did I just catch on a bad day?
Well, I think their online personality and their offline personality are very different. I think a lot of the people you meet offline you actually can get along with them.
Have you guys ever tried that as an experiment where people who know each other online will say, all right, let's get together and see?
Well, yeah, I mean, there are every now and then, they're called face-to-face gatherings.
Face-to-face.
And people come out and meet each other and finally and become friends offline. So that's happened a lot. But, it's a kind of thing where people don't necessarily go online and say, hey, it's a great day out there, and then, hey, you're right, it's a great day. I mean, that'd be boring.
Oh,
So I think that people always look for something to argue about.
I see. Okay.
In the message board. So, and also we kind of split up the categories too, where soapbox is for complaining. So if you don't want to get your blood pressure up, you can go to the virtual cafe.
Virtual cafe is friendly.
Yeah.
Soapbox is for those who want to bitch and moan.
Right, and then we even subdivided that one into general and all politics.
Uh-huh.
Because everything becomes a Bush,
or something.
Bush, Democrat Republican argument.
Well, I actually have. I mean, there's some people I know who will say, "Oh, you can't go. Don't look at Maplewood Online. You'll want to move out of town." I said, well, I've used it for some positive things, but I guess I can understand.
Well, yeah, and I also think people generalize it too much, and I think you'd find a lot of people who are moving to town have been on Maplewood Online, and they still move to town.
They still move. Okay.
No, because they like the openness. They like where people can talk. I mean, very few towns, if any, have something like this.
Well, I do have to tell you, one of my neighbors actually, they met each other through Maple Online. They're married and they have a kid now.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think that's a happy ending.
No head and piffy.
Yeah.
That's
so okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's one thing that.
Yeah.
All right. So you check off Maplewood Online. Another thing that you've been intimately involved with for how many years? It's that Maplewood Underground.
The Underground Concert Series started back in '99.
So a little about the same time, a little bit later than Maplewood Online.
Yep.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, it started. I actually used to give a workshop, some music improvisation called Music's Everywhere. And that would show that we're all musical regardless of experience. And I used to do it at the Baird Center, and then I moved it to the library. And I just liked the acoustics in there, and I thought this would be a great place.
The Maplewood Library.
Maplewood Memorial Library.
Yep. The one that the junior high kids like to hang out.
Right, exactly. And so I liked the acoustics, and I thought this would be a great venue for a show. And then I had one or two shows before I started the Underground, and so after a few shows, I'm like, let's try a whole series, because I had more than one act, friends of mine and stuff like that.
And also, it's kind of heartening that the library. You must have been outside of middle school by that point, because the library said, "Sure, you can do this thing," and that's. Was that much of a red tape thing, or were they pretty open?
No, it's pretty open. Roland Bennett was in there, and he probably knew me since, forever, when I grew up in this town, and wasn't very hard to do. So.
Well, I saw some of these, and you line up 5 or 6 groups every year, and I know how much work that entails.
Yeah.
Not only if you knew exactly which groups you wanted, but then the uncounted number of hours actually thinking or being exposed to groups that you pass.
Right.
How do you find the time to do that? And what's your connection? I mean, for example, you said you used to give these music workshops. What are you? Do you have what particular instrument do you play, or what's your interest?
Well, I mean, I play piano, but I do some percussion. I actually have built some African xylophones called amadindas, and there's also a thing, if you come on the 4th of July, I do this percussion sculpture, which is where I have the amadindas out, and I have garbage cans, and I string up all percussion instruments for the kids to come by and play with. So, and I actually took a workshop at Paul Winter's house, and Music's Everywhere was kind of like his concept in a way, yeah, part of his. So that's my musical background, and then when I started, I had a couple bass people. My friend Peter Fand, he had this group called Tamalalu, which was just a remarkable group, and
they weren't a local group.
No, they're from Brooklyn. And then Glenn Velez was one of my original people too, who I've had almost every season, and his name is, he's world-renowned percussionist, so having him on the lineup helped to get a lot more people in the world music community just because his name was on there. And another one was Greg Cagno, who's a friend of mine, and and my friend Glenn Fitton. They're the first 4 in the first series.
So, like, in these groups, man, first of all, you mentioned the library as the venue. I mean, that's not a huge place.
Yeah.
And, this crowd that's watching us here right now could easily fit in there.
Right.
And also, I know sometimes you use some of the other venues, St. George's,
Bergdorf.
Yep. But to actually be exposed to enough groups to pick out, one, those that you'd like to come here, and then second, those who would be willing to come all the way out here for a very small. I mean, they can't make a ton of money, right?
Yeah.
No. How much time do you spend auditioning groups, listening groups? Do you go into Brooklyn to? I mean, where do you spend every night going to see shows, or what?
Well, no, it's for the folk people, I sometimes I go to like Falcon Ridge Folk Festival, or there's a Northeast Regional Folk Alliance conference where I can see a lot of people at once, and usually 1 or 2 will stand out, and that's how I find them. Otherwise, the world music community, the people I know might recommend people that way. And
how much of a sell job do you have to do to get folks to come out here on a rather small venue?
It's surprisingly it hasn't been that bad of a. I've been pretty lucky. Usually, I do book my shows pretty late, so that.
What do you mean by that? Late,
like
in the season?
Like I'm kind of last minute type thing.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, a lot of the groups might have their money shows already booked, and they're in the area. So that's how I'm able to get them a little bit, maybe.
As long as you're here in New
available.
York, take the bus out here.
Exactly, and they also work off a percentage too, and I can squeeze up to 100, 150 in that room.
So I mean, given the dynamics of what you have to offer, you don't get too many of like no red M&Ms, please kind of thing, right? They're probably fairly
not too many.
fairly decent sized egos.
Yeah, they've all the artists I've had.
Unlike the guy who's waving that thing at me saying, "Get up, we're going to break."
Yeah.
We're going to a break. All right, we're going to take a break.
If you're not helping after-school programs, you're really helping to take them away. After-school programs, wouldn't you rather be helping?
Okay, we still have with us Jamie Ross, and we were talking, if you remember, I know it was a minute ago, about some of the mechanics of doing this whole Maplewood Underground. Which, when you first hear about it, you think it's some kind of a subversive, kind of a countercultural thing, you know, Weather Underground. But and it's called Underground because you're the Maplewood Library under the ground.
Yep.
But like this is the, you know, I don't know if you can see that, but it's like the lineup for this season's show. And look, it's a 4-color or 3-color. I don't know how you describe it, but it's shiny, professionally done. I mean, you know, this is like not something that you'd see tacked on a local bulletin board for an act that's just showing at the library. And in these groups, I guess you know, Chris Berry, who's coming up. You said he was on Star Search many years ago and was a big name in South Africa,
in
right?
Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe.
And, yeah.
And I see a Jen Chapin. Is that related to the Taxi song guy Harry Chapin?
Yeah, Harry Chapin.
So she's the daughter of the one who died.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's like okay, and Simonology. That's
Yep. That's a group that called me from Germany, and said they have a new CD coming out. They're going to be in the States at this certain time, and they knew an artist
who had been.
That I know, so I was able to get a reference, you know, to back up, because I couldn't go to Germany to.
Yeah, your budget is not that. Like, for example, footing the bill for all this promotional material, and you don't do guarantees for these guys, probably.
Well, there's a minimum.
There's a minimum
guarantee.
So there's a financial risk for you on this.
Yeah.
And you know, these are never household names. I mean, there's probably people who are fans of this kind of music and they've heard of them, but so how do you do? I mean, I hate to be so crass, but you know, you've been doing this for 9 years, so I guess you're keeping at least even.
I mean, my goal every season is to break even, and you know, fortunately, sometimes I do have. Like this group I used to have, Groove Lily.
Groove Lily, yes. The violinist.
The violinist. I mean, having a group like that helps, because they did have a nice Jersey following. And once in a while, I can get a group that has a good following, and it helps offset some of the other nights where I might not have as much of a lineup as a turnout. So this season, it's hard to say. I'm you know, there's some new names here that people might not be familiar with, and I just hope that people take a chance. It's a tough series to promote too, because every show is so different.
Right.
It's not like I'm a folk venue. It's not like I'm a percussion African music venue, or so it's a big challenge. And
you know, to me, it's almost like this is like what you'd expect from PBS, or it's like almost a public service kind of thing that brings out always interesting stuff, things that you're never going to see elsewhere, and
especially in Jersey.
Well, especially hey, I don't know.
Well, no,
Jersey's the heart of the universe as we know it. But it's like it's just a remarkable thing, because again, this is not something you're going to retire off of either.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
So
Maplewood Online, maybe this.
Maybe, yeah, okay. So then this is a labor of love. I look at it, it's like a community service. And then, what else? You've got, I know I've seen you have something to do with this open mic night that's been going on for the last couple of years at Here's the Arts, open mic comedy.
Yes.
And so I'm guessing, you've got an interest in that too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I've been doing stand-up since January 2003. So
at places like the local places like Rascals and what have you.
Yeah. I've done Rascals. You know, I'm still not. I don't have a regular spot yet at Caroline's, but you know.
If you go there, they'll some people say, "Oh, there's that guy again."
Yeah. But you know, I have done Rascals. I do Gotham every now and then, but they're more the amateur nights.
Yeah, the open mic nights.
But I mean, that's something I love to do, and maybe I'll do it more often.
It's scary, right?
Oh,
Or you don't care?
No.
You gotta not care.
It's not scary.
When people are all looking at you like with their mouth open, like.
Yeah. No. I'm very. It's fun for me. And then every now and then there's a Uncle. It's called the Comedy Quarry, and it's right now it's at Uncle Vinny's in Point Pleasant. So
What is Comedy Quarry? A moving group?
it's kind of that way. It started out in West Orange, and then it moved to Pinebrook and this and that, and they set up the show really nice. But that's one of the venues where I've been a headliner, so it's kind of nice to have that. And
So okay,
it's
now
good.
is that like, all right? I know there's a website for Maplewood Underground.
Mhm.
There's the Maplewood Online. Of course, there's probably some way that if there's a thing in Maplewood Online, there's something wrong, and somebody asks you, emails the moderator or technical, you
Right.
can. There's a good chance you'll pick it up. You or your brother.
Yes.
Is there any? Do you have any web presence for Jamie Ross?
JamieRoss.com.
JamieRoss.com.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
would be your comedy gigs.
Yeah. It has comedy and it has a lot of different things on that.
So
yeah.
other things like, well, first
Well,
before on the comedy so
yeah,
far,
it's-
it's not costing you money to do comedy, but again, it's not
Right.
you're not going to retire off it at this
No.
point. Okay, so what are some of the other things if I go to JamieRoss.com?
Oh, there's just interest stuff like photos from recent.
Do you
trips
blog
and
anything?
stuff
Are you a
like that.
blogger at all?
I don't blog.
You don't blog.
Yeah,
so-
that's one thing I should. But I'm more of a lurker on the message board
That's
than
great. Lurker.
I don't type as some people write books. I mean.
Yeah. Well, the great thing about lurkers is that
Yeah.
is the only people with opinions and only people who have opinions they think other people are interested in
Right.
hearing
Right.
write things, and oftentimes, most of us don't have opinions on a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
It's like so we just get to lurk and listen.
Yeah. Kind of like on Maplewood Online. Sometimes I go to reply to something and I'm like,
Yeah.
So someone else that's gonna write something similar to this. anyway.
Or somebody else will say, that's not what I said. If you reread my second response to what the
Right,
third guy said,
right,
you'd see I
right.
didn't say. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but all right. So.
And there's a clip from one of my drum routines.
From like your 4th of July thing.
No. I play a drum on one of my comedy bits.
Oh, I see. Oh, so
Yeah,
okay.
it's
All right. Well, see, I didn't know about that.
You can see that on the web.
So here's the question, and it's I've heard your name. I think I'd heard mention of your name years before I ever actually met you in person.
Mhm.
And as I said, seriously, like they'll say, "Oh, yeah, Jamie Ross introduced us," because you'll sometimes act as an MC for some local events, right?
Maplewood Stock. which
Maplewood
is
Stock.
coming up. It's gonna be 2 days this year.
Is that a given?
Yep. That's a given.
Don't eat the yellow snow. Okay. Or I've seen you MC the Battle of the Bands.
Oh yeah, I did that once.
And the people just love you. I mean, people have said, "Oh yeah, he's great. I love that guy." And I thought, "Who is this guy?" And then I got to see you, and I thought, you are sort of a community treasure in a way, but here's the other thing: the mystery is like, so look, none of the stuff bespeaks someone who has to do it for the money, or it's like, as I said, it's almost like a community service. You make the town life is, I don't want to sound too mushy. It is richer for the stuff that you do, but how do you do it? What's your day job? I mean, how do you do that?
It's Maplewood Online, and I also do website development. So it keeps me busy. I'm like the web guy in town. So it seems like if anyone needs something updated or a website, they come to me. So I mean that's my full-time gig.
I see.
And then and then the underground and stand-up is secondary.
Yeah. And okay. And so how about what about this? You also ran for office recently, and I would have voted for you, except I'm in South Orange and I can't come over to Maplewood as a citizen.
Right.
So Yeah, so tell me how that was as an experience. I mean, because you were definitely serious. You had some ideas. You
Right.
weren't being like Pat
I had
Paulson.
lawn signs.
You had lawn signs.
So
Did you have a guy that would shill for you saying, "Brought to you by the Jamie Ross Committee for Re-election"? You didn't have that. So you did it yourself.
I approved this and type
Yeah,
of thing.
right. So tell me what that experience was like. Obviously you didn't win.
Yeah.
Which is actually probably a blessing. Can you imagine if you'd won?
Yeah, no.
You couldn't even be here talking like this.
Yeah.
So
I actually had fun running. You know, winning would have been okay, but it's a good experience. But it's a tough thing to run as an independent, and I think Fred could tell you that too, because he ran as an independent.
Fred
before.
did really?
Yeah.
Initially.
Yep. And
well, he kind of dresses better than we do. I think he's got a.
Yeah. So it's tough because unless I had the time and energy to go door to door to every single person in town, I think people really vote the line.
Right.
Unless they know who you are, then they vote for me.
Yeah. Would you ever consider doing something like that again, or?
Yeah.
Or do something else in one of the myriad little committees that you can get appointed to.
Yeah, possibly. I'm so busy with everything currently that maybe if I did take that on, it'd take away from
and that's
Maplewood
not
online or the underground and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so.
and I'd hate Jamie Ross on the Maplewood Township Committee. Jamie Ross bringing us this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know
Yeah,
which way
no.
I'd go for.
Yeah.
In fact, I guess I'd vote against you just so if I were.
Yeah, it's I have a lot. I'm able to do enough as it is. Without.
Because even getting on the
committee
committee is not something you can retire off of.
Yeah.
It's
well,
like.
No one knows if I was doing it for the money.
Right.
3,500.
Right.
Banking on it.
Yeah. Okay. So how about is there, not that you're not doing enough already, but are there is there anything else that you're thinking about or that you have done that I'm not aware of that we haven't covered up till now?
I don't know. I was thinking of doing a talk show here, maybe.
Talk show. Okay. Well, here, let's switch seats. You sit over here. Sit over here. Because I see the guy says. He says we've got like less than 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
And so the trick is you've got to like talk to me, but with one eye over there, not to look too, and then seamlessly wrap it up because I'm still talking, but you got to shut me off without like being too rude, and then go over and say, oh, thanks a lot, and I say I'm Bradley Takahashi.
That's no problem.
In the corner, and
Yeah.
and watch what he does.
So Bradley,
Yes.
which show are you thinking about hitting this season?
Well, what I was going to ask you is, are any of these ticket prices cheaper than the others? Because that's something that's important to me.
The folk shows tend to be a few bucks cheaper than the ensemble shows.
And are there any discounts for like people who?
Students and seniors, there's a discount.
Okay.
We have 1 minute left.
Okay, 1 minute left. So yeah, I think so. I think I'd like to see. I went online and checked out some of the individual links to these performers, and some of them look pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I think like this. Who is that? Ayelet Rose.
Yeah, Ayelet Rose.
Ayelet Rose.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a mix of she's from Israel. It's a Middle East jazz blend.
Yeah, that's what sounded kind of intriguing.
And Poland Storm is very funny. That should be a good turnout.
Oh, they're funny guys?
Yep.
Okay.
Jen Chapin, Harry Chapin's daughter, recently re-released Cats in the Cradle, which was actually written by her mother.
Oh, not Harry?
Yeah, not Harry.
Ah.
Yeah, that's a surprise.
Okay.
So, anyway.
Hey!
Should I wrap this up?
Yeah, wrap it up, man.
Well, thanks everyone for coming out tonight for the Community Corner.
Yes.
With Bradley Takahashi.
And his wonderful guest.
And his wonderful guest, Jamie Ross.
Thank you.
JamieRoss.com. Thanks everyone for watching tonight's show. See you again soon.
All right. See, that's much better. That's great.